Welcome, MLB First Pitch Thursday edition. It's Thursday, August 27th, Wager Talk TV, and we are live as we are every Monday through Friday for MLB First Pitch at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. We'll be back tomorrow on Friday, same time, same channel, and then, of course, the bonus Saturday and Sunday episodes. The only weekend show in town here on Wager Talk TV is MLB First Pitch Saturday and Sunday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. But it is Thursday. We got some games to talk about, but before we do so, let's get to the usual suspects. Marco D'Angelo, Dave Koken, Tony Finn, and your host, myself, Steve Merrill, all from WagerTalk.com. Marco, great to have you back. When we last spoke, we had a little bit of an in-show lean on the Rockies Monday, I think at 145, you and I. How's your week been so far since we last spoke, and what have been your thoughts on baseball, which, other than hockey right now, is the only game in town?
Yeah, that's for sure, guys. Tuesday was a nightmare of a day for me. I was the $2 capper and had a crapper of a play. I had the under in the Clippers game on Tuesday night, and
wow,
didn't have to sweat. Didn't have to sweat that one out. I was able to go to bed early Tuesday night, and the good night's sleep on Tuesday, going to bed early, I was able to come back and bounce back with a winner yesterday. We had a easy winner on Toronto, so let's get things back on the right track.
Yeah, it's funny. I did the NASCAR show yesterday, as I do every Wednesday at 1 Eastern with Andy Lang and Rocky Atkinson. Rocky Atkinson going into Wednesday yesterday, 11-1 all sports run. His only loss, $2 Tuesday, his baseball play at Sports Memo. So, and last week I was the $2 capper. I was red hot. I missed that play. So, and I think Teddy did as well. So
I affectionately refer to Johnny Detroit when he calls for the $2. It's like getting the call from the Grim Reaper. Whatever he calls it, it'll stop a streak. That's for sure.
And overall, you've been winning. Dave, I know you've been winning as well. Overall, baseball's been pretty good for you this year.
Not this week. It's been a tough. Everything's just. And haven't had a good week, but hope get things straightened out today.
But you're still up for the baseball season. When we last spoke about a week ago, hitting over 60% for baseball.
I'm way up. But I don't like the I was due for a bad streak excuse. I just haven't been very good the last few days.
But as Dave preaches, the subscription packages are the way to go, and this is a perfect example of why. If you've played from the start of the baseball season, KBO, MLB, this little blip on the radar, as I like to say, doesn't make a huge difference. Tony, you've been red hot. I mean, what was it, 28-8 as a couple days ago?
It's still 28-8 because everything I play now gets canceled.
Yeah, you had 2 NBA games last night, didn't you?
I was just putting up I made a decision I was going to put up an NBA for today, and then I got the notice that they're going to continue with the tournament, but not today. So I do have a baseball play. One baseball play. Let's bring it home.
Yeah, and guys, baseball is still going. Luckily, they've still, for the most part, they're still going.
Well, for now, I don't know. I don't know. There's the buzz is the Red Sox might not play tonight. Not that they've played all year, but what I'm hearing is that I do get. It's the one area I still get information out of, and apparently there's some buzz that the Red Sox are deciding whether to play tonight or not. It only takes one team.
Exactly.
If one team says, then it's going to be a domino, because other teams will look at that and say, well, if they're
not going to look bad,
we better not.
You're right.
If they're sitting out, we better not sit out. So we'll see what happens. But all we can do is handicap the games as they are on the schedule. We have no say in what takes place after that.
Yeah, and Dave, when I was doing the NBA show with Tony each day during the bubble regular season, I said it was a lot like handicapping the NFL preseason. I was having to look at the motivation of all these teams because those bubble games didn't really mean much, as far as seeding. They didn't care. Playoff time and regular season baseball, we normally don't have to worry about the mindset of these guys, but now we have to somewhat, start reading between the lines. Like you just said, if they are still playing on the field, but the players don't want to be out there, one team does, it's something we're going to have to be careful with. I don't think that'll be too much of an issue, but it's interesting to hear that a team like the Red Sox now is talking about sitting, and as you mentioned, they've basically been sitting all season. You've also pointed out that a lot of the guys are on the trade block. So I find it interesting that might be one of the teams that's talking about it as well. A team that's not playing well. A lot of the guys are on their way out anyway. A lot easier for those guys to say, hey, we're not going to play today. We're going to take a social stance versus a team that's maybe in the playoff race. Marco, what's your quick thoughts? And we'll get to some of the hits here. I mean, are you going to change the way you approach handicapping this, Marco? Or, once again, like Dave said, just a day-by-day approach, and we handicap what we have?
we have to handicap what we have, but the problem, the residual effect of these cancellations is you're going to get what we have on the schedule today, a card full of doubleheaders, which in a season of uncertainty that we've already had, handicapping a doubleheader right now, I think is extremely difficult. And it's not something that, I'm going to have many plays on if I have any. I can tell you, if I do have a play, it'll be on the first game of a doubleheader, where I know what the lineups are going to be and I don't have to read too much into the manager. In the second game, you don't know what's going to happen in the second game, how the first game played out and what the manager's going to do, unless you're making a wager, right before game time, which in our business, is something that, is not good for the customers. You want to have time to react to stuff. So for me, I'll be treading lightly with the plethora of doubleheaders.
Well,
one
piece of good news. Hurricane Laura has just been downgraded to a tropical storm. Thank goodness.
Very good. Very
I
good.
mean, there's not much good news out there right now. That's good news, because this thing looked like it was going to be a train wreck of a storm. And tropical storm. A tropical storm is not a picnic, but at least it seems to be losing some of its punch.
Yeah, of course, here in Virginia, we follow that closely. One skated on us, a few weeks ago on the coast. And when I saw this one going into Texas, Louisiana, I wasn't paying much attention to it. I watched the news last night. It's making a 90-degree right turn at Arkansas tomorrow, and it's going to be over us on Sunday. So the storm that's on Louisiana is going to hit us Sunday and go back into the Atlantic.
Well, if it's just rain, that's okay.
Yeah, it's going to be like 5-mile-per-hour winds.
Right.
But I was looking at it also, though, Dave, as a baseball fan, because it does look like it's missing most of the cities. Maybe skipping St. Louis a little bit, I thought, but missing Houston, it looked like, for the most part, even though it's going to probably give them some rain. Tony, I know. Let's start with this first game that we have as a featured game, at least as we originally had scheduled, was the Rockies game. Colorado, Arizona. As I mentioned earlier, this is the fourth straight time. When Marco was on Monday, we talked about this game in depth, and the Rockies pulled out the upset win there. They also pulled the upset win on Tuesday. Arizona's been ice cold. Colorado is one of the four Western teams in the playoffs still. Arizona's the one that's not.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this fourth and final game, Tony?
Well, a couple things really quickly, and I don't have an opinion, a serious opinion or opinion I would push to the shopping cart on this, but Kyle Freeland has been much better this year, and the talk was that he kind of regained that 2018 form that he had, and last year was an aberration. His peripherals are still a little bit substandard as far as depending on luck, but he's been better. You can say that. The Rockies they're not consistent with the bats right now as they were early in the season, and Zach Gallen is a kid that I questioned him last year. But the more I see him, the more I like him. I still have there's still some question marks about several things with him, hard contact, etc. But he's been real good.
By the way, just came across the NHL
Sure.
will not play tonight.
Really? Wow.
Well, here we go. The NHL, no.
Well, Dave, last night I was thinking to myself, I think of you when I think of NHL because I don't handicap it. I know, Marco dabbles with the Knights and the Penguins and stuff, but I thought of you, Dave, and I was like, well, at least he's got maybe KBO a little longer, and he's got the NHL because I really thought they'd be the last to go.
Okay.
Wow.
Here's the information. No games tonight in the NHL. Teams scheduled to play tomorrow are discussing whether to postpone or play.
So you're exactly right, and you guys all hit the nail on the head. The problem is if anyone plays at this point, then they look insensitive, because once one doesn't play,
I will tell you that my guess is that we're going to start to see baseball cancellations come through shortly. I think I think they're going to look at what the NHL. We'll still talk about these games as if they're being played.
I agree,
but I think this might end up being a moot point because if the NHL decided to sit out and the NBA isn't playing today, I find it hard to believe at this point that baseball wouldn't follow that same direction. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for the guys in chat. It really doesn't matter what your opinion is or my opinion is on whether they should do it or not. It's whether they will or not. And I honestly would be very surprised based on this latest news with the NHL. I'd be very surprised if we get any baseball today. So.
Yeah, Dave, I said the analogy I would use is it's like we have a 90% chance of rain at every game today, and we're going to handicap them anyway. And it's interesting because Christian Lane just put up the roof is closed today in Chase, but they still might get canceled if they do play, Dave. What's your thoughts on this game 4 of the series?
I mean, you can't play the Diamondbacks right now. They finally scored some runs last night, and they lost again.
Yeah.
I just don't want a team on this lengthy of a losing streak. And at the same time, Zach Gallen's been outstanding. I mean, he has been absolutely terrific. So do you really want to go against him? I mean, the only thing I could consider, and the roof is closed, I would look at the under. The Diamondbacks did have a bit of a breakout last night, but fact is they really haven't been hitting much. And I would suspect that a good pitcher like Kyle Freeland can probably hold them down. And Gallen has been outstanding. So to me, it seems it's an awfully logical conclusion, and these things often don't work out that way. And it's a low total for a game at Chase, even with the roof closed. 8 is a low number there. But to me, that's the only way I could consider it. You might want to go first 5 instead at 4, because the bullpens did get used heavily last night and some question marks late in the game. So I would look at under first 5.
Yeah, Marco, as Dave said, a very low total. It's 8 flat, and this is usually the second highest total stadium in the league after the Rockies and Coors Field. The roof apparently is closed. I guess that's kind of like handicapping the wind in Wrigley. We see a low total. We figured they closed the roof. Although, of course, as Dave said, when these games are all played, the totals might be 0 in all of these tonight. But
the roof's always going to be closed in that ballpark when it's 3:10
daytime game. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, that's
it's 100 and something degrees. So
yeah, it's 6 Eastern, so that's 3 Arizona time with daylight savings. Yeah, Marco, any thoughts on this? About $1.50 favorite. A D-backs a heavy favorite again, even though they're losing.
Well, they're a heavy favorite because of the pitcher on the mound. Gallen's been absolutely phenomenal for them this year. But, and you're going to get guys that will chase Arizona. They're going to look at this and say, what are the chances that Arizona gets swept at home in not a 3-game series, but a 4-game series? So there's going to be people that are going to go with that frame of thought. I can't do it. I'm not going to bet a team that's that price of 150 that's on an 8-game losing streak. Now, I do agree with Dave as far as the total goes. I think that this is an under wager, whether you're doing it first 5 or doing it full game. Maybe you even want to split it up. 2 stats for you for the under. Galen's made 19 starts for the Diamondbacks so far last 2 seasons. 16 of those 19 games have gone under the total. And Freeland, when he's an underdog the last 3 seasons, his games have gone under 23 out of 31 games. So we got 2 strong trends supporting the under. We got 2 strong pitchers that are pitching well right now. That's the only way I could play the game. I'll lean to Colorado in the under.
And by the way, first half line about 155, so slightly higher even with the better pitcher. First 5 innings, 4 to the over. So they're saying 4 for the first 5 innings and then 4 for the last 4 innings, basically, with that line. And Marco, as you said, what are the odds? 41% that the Rockies sweep. I mean, at least that's what the money line's saying, right? The true odds are 145 in between 150, 140. And that's assuming there's not an inflated line here. If it's a little inflated, which I think it might be, 42, 43% chance the Rockies sweep. So, yeah, I mean, there is a little something past games, motivation. People look at it that way. But this is an Arizona team that's now lost, what, guys? 8 straight? Yeah, there's 8 straight now after 6 wins. Buyer beware on this one, as we've said for a few of these D-back games this week. Guys, let's look at the next featured game here. Let's hope we get it in. Once again, we're going to handicap these as though we're playing them, and we'll see what happens in the meantime. Tony, I'll throw it to you here. We got another West Coast game, A's and Rangers. Texas will be playing today. I don't think the Hurricanes hit in Dallas, so they should get this one in. What are your thoughts, Tony?
Well, I like the A's here. In fact, I was looking at second half schedules, guys, last night when I had some time. Once they announced everything was going to be dark, at least most everything, the basketball, etc. And the A's have a fairly favorable schedule for the second half, and they get Texas like tonight. And Texas has been a little better. Texas is I think their play against it, especially against Bissett and Lyle, who's been – listen, Lyle he got hot last year. You remember when he got traded, he had pitched pretty nicely. He pitched pretty well for at least average for the Pirates, I believe. Then he went to the Brewers, and then he got hot with the Brewers. He went 7-1, had a pretty nice ERA. Unfortunately, the ERA was a little bit of a mirage. It was 2 and change, and his xFIP was 4 and change. And right now I think he's 1-1. In Globe, which is a pitcher-friendly park with a 7-point ERA, and in truth, he's had some success against the A's last year, but I find this a pretty favorable game. If you don't like the 180 or 185 that's on the A's, play the run line.
Yeah, Dave, and the first half line too, a little bit higher, about minus 200, minus 205 versus the game line. A's obviously have a pretty good bullpen. Yet they're a higher first 5 inning pick as well. What are your thoughts, Dave?
My thoughts there would be that even though Bassett is, I think, regressing to what would be his typical form, Lyles has been really bad, really bad. And so that the thought is that, well, the A's have an even bigger advantage early in the game with Bassett against Lyles. And I don't disagree with that. The only thing that keeps me out of this game is the price. I just don't want to lay that much on the road, but I can't make a case for backing the Rangers with Lyles. But I am worried about Bassett. So, maybe you get some runs in this game, even though it's a pitcher's ballpark.
Yeah, Marco, it's not Freaky Friday. It's Freaky Thursday. We talk about all these games maybe being canceled. We talk about a very low total at Arizona at 8. This is actually a pretty high total, 9.5, even some 10s out there for Texas, which has been a very pitcher-friendly ballpark, including a 3-1 game last night.
Well, the problem is there's been no ballpark that's been pitcher-friendly to Jordan Lyles this year. He's just been a train wreck, got an ERA over 10 and a whip over 2. That's a recipe for getting out of baseball. Let me tell you, you keep that up. You look at this, and the other thing with him is he's been, his strikeout to walk ratio, horrible at 14-12. It's bad enough that you're no mystery to the hitters, but when you're giving free passes the way he is, it's just going to, snowball. So yes, I can understand why we're seeing that high total. The thing that I'm looking at here with Oakland is, you're going to pay a price for them. Texas is just a complete disaster right now. 1-10 in their last 11 games. And in their last 5 games, they've scored a grand total of 9 runs. Oakland can hit. Oakland's going to hit Jordan Lyles. I don't have a problem with laying a 1.5 in this game. You're getting the road team, so you're guaranteed 9 at-bats. That's key anytime you're looking at a run line. And then with the rule changes this year, if you do end up in a game somehow in extra innings, having the road team and having the 1.5, you're live yet because you're starting with that runner at second base. You have the potential for the big inning if you're batting first in extra innings. Of course, the team, the home team, they're going to win most likely by 1 run if they win the game, unless we get a home run, where you can still have that big inning for the A's at the top. So for me, it's all about minus 1.5 runs in this game is the way to go.
Yeah, I'm going to put that up on the screen for the viewers because it's minus 1.5, minus 130 in most spots right now. So you're dropping it from minus 195 down to minus 130 on the run line.
I'll mention also real quickly that Rangers are hitting less than 200 against right-handed pitching. So if you like those splits right now, it's halfway through the season. Better pay attention.
Well, and as Marco said, the Rangers are 1-10. They're not hitting the ball. They've scored 3 runs or less, 5 straight, 1 run exact in 3 of those last 5 games. But more importantly, as Tony and I have talked about a bunch, Oakland is putting up runs. They still have 8 hits or less in 9 of their last 10 games. They're doing it very efficiently, but they're not putting a lot of balls in play, which is interesting with the total here being 9.5 or 10 in what's been a pitcher-friendly park. Yeah. But as Marco said, nothing's been friendly for these pitchers, especially this season. Dave, let's look at our last featured.
Sabino. Easy, bud. We talk about every game, okay? We discuss every game, so you don't have to ask if we're going to discuss the Blue Jays and Red Sox. We are going to discuss it, okay?
Oh, he's got a big bet.
He's chatting. He's put it in the chat like 3 times.
Dave, is he the one that had the big bet on the White Sox the other night?
Yeah, and that was the game they got the no-hitter.
It was the no-no.
Nothing to worry about, man. The way this show works is we talk about every game in the schedule, okay?
Yeah, we're going to do quick hits right after this, guys. What we do is we do 3 featured games. Actually, in this case, is game plural. It's the second time this week, guys. We've had 4 featured games because Dave, I'll throw it to you on this one. We got a doubleheader here, the Dodger game. First pitch goes about an hour and a half, so maybe they'll sneak this game 1 in. So we'll talk about that first, I guess. But any thoughts on this double between the Dodgers and the Giants?
No, I'm still staying out of the doubleheaders. I'm looking at them, trying to figure things out. But I don't want to play here anyway. Buehler, it's Kershaw's going the first game, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, he's in good form. But Webb has pitched well for the Giants. I mean, he's been a surprise. I can't lay that kind of a price, especially since, the Giants really get fired up for these games, and because it's a big rivalry for them, and they're playing good ball. Should the Dodgers be this much on the road against a team that's basically a 500 team right now? One game under 500? I can't justify that price, but I don't want that. I don't want to go against Kershaw either.
Yeah, Marco, the first thing that jumps out to me is, does all this hoopla, the day off, the postponement, maybe more postponements, does this really cool off the Giants, who have won 7 straight? They've scored 5 runs or more in every one of those games. They've won 6 of the 7 outright as an underdog. I just wonder if this is that cool-off sign for the Giants, who have snuck their way into the playoffs.
Well, when you're on a winning streak, you never want to have a day off, that's for sure. But the fact that they're playing, as Dave said, they're playing the Dodgers. This is their biggest rival, playing the Dodgers. And then you put the biggest name on the Dodgers on the mound in Kershaw, they're going to be up for the game. There's no question about it. Kershaw's pitching great. The one thing I'm going to throw out there, and as Dave said, this is a big number. If you're going to get a highly motivated effort from the Giants, the Dodgers may or may not. If you're going to try to handicap psyche, it's not a big game for them in the scheme of things. I will say this much. You've got a team that's on a winning streak. They're a home underdog. In this season against left-handers, they are 9-5 versus lefties, and are averaging over 6 runs per game against them. If you want to take a flyer, it's a doubleheader. Take a shot on San Francisco. I think, you're going to have them as a dog in both games. Get the split if you want to mess around with it. But me personally, like Dave, I don't like playing around with doubleheaders.
Yeah, and Tony, I know you like playing around with in-game wagering. Since we've last spoken on this a few times this season, have you made any changes in your approach to doubleheaders? Anything you're starting to find?
No, I have not. Not in my in-game. I love in-game wagers, as you mentioned. I have a fancy for them for sure. But most of that's in basketball, where I can get basketball, NBA in particular, where it's so highs and lows, the highs, the lows. You can get that nice middle in the total, and that's what I prefer to do. Take the middle and take my shot at 20-1. In this Dodgers game, here's the deal. Well, listen, Buehler finally passed my test. I've been waiting for him to have a start where he didn't walk anybody. He didn't issue a free pass. He finally got his first win. He didn't walk anybody in his last start. And Webb, albeit he's got a 2.3, 2.4 ERA. Look at his whip, 1.5. This is a kid that doesn't miss very many bats. He's struggling with his command. And I did a free play. I'll go ahead and tell everybody. I did a free play on this particular game, and I recommended Buehler on the run line -1.5.
Now,
so this just came through from Jim Salisbury, who's he is Phillies insider for NBC Philly, and he has said his tweet is hearing no game for Phillies tonight.
And I'll throw this up too, guys. Robert's saying Buehler is on the DL while we're talking about Buehler.
I haven't looked. Did it happen this morning?
So I don't know if we can confirm that. But Robert, thank you for chiming in. If that is the case, we appreciate everyone chiming in. I know you guys are handicapping the games like we are.
They have pulled him off.
Okay.
They have no starter listed for the second game now. So
correct. Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. Yeah, because I didn't get to do my favorite thing on the show, which is Buehler. Although now that we don't know, I guess we really can be like Buehler. He's on the IR according to Robert M. So thank you, Robert. Dave, I'm saying the same thing, that there's no starter listed. So I think that is what's happened. But although we might see that for a lot of these games here. In fact, let's sneak in.
That's not a good thing though, because Buehler, this is not his first injuries issue this year.
Yeah, and keep in mind, Kershaw missed the first start of the season against these Giants. Really, the day of the game, they pulled him like halfway through the afternoon. So if we're looking for a reason that maybe the Giants aren't going to be the dominant team this season, I mean, that could be something there. Kershaw, of course, has never been a great playoff pitcher, but that also is because they have 2.5 times more games by the time they play the playoffs.
And they steal the signs. But that's
yeah. By the way, the Astros, they're coming alive here. They're in the playoffs as we speak, so we'll see what happens. Guys, we got a lot of double headers, but I want to get to this one that starts in about a half hour because maybe we'll sneak this game in. If we're going to sneak one in, this might be the one. It's a 3:00 Eastern, noon Pacific start. I think this is actually a very key game to see if we play today or not, because if this game doesn't happen, I think all bets are off.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
So let's see what happens. Now we got another one of those teams, Dave, that's very easy to not play, Seattle. Although Seattle in their defense has been playing some good baseball, 4 straight wins, 5 out of their last 6. Slam Diego finally had their 7-game win streak snapped by the Mariners when they played on Tuesday. They, of course, did not play yesterday. What are your thoughts, Dave?
LJ Newsome will now pitch for Seattle. They traded Taijuan Walker this morning to the Blue Jays, so obviously he is scratched. So they've called up LJ Newsome, who's kind of a, I wouldn't call him a major prospect. Let's put it that way. I haven't seen him at all. I don't really know a great deal about him other than his stat line. So I can't tell you a great deal there. Lamet should be able to dominate this lineup. Padres are an enormous favorite for a good reason.
Yeah, Marco, we got a twin bill here. The first game is the one that goes in about a half hour here, the daytime game. Lamet's about a 240 favorite. He was supposed to pitch yesterday, so now he gets to start today. 6.5 is the over-under because it's a 7-inning game, of course.
Yeah, there's only one way to play the game, but it is priced accordingly, as Dave said. I want no part of Seattle, even on their winning streak. The Padres have been playing well, and Lamet has been arguably their best pitcher. He's been the most consistent pitcher that they've had. Now, last time he only went 5 innings, but he still had 9 strikeouts in 5 innings. The guy is, fooling hitters. He did have one of his highest walk totals. He had 3 walks in that game, but season-wise, 45-11 on the strikeout to walk ratio. This guy's been dominant, and there's no reason to step in front of him. Again, you're laying a big number. I don't like to lay the big number. I will put it in a parlay occasionally. I know it's still the same math, but when you're playing a parlay, the math is I'm losing whatever number of units I put on the game. I'm not putting that number of units times 2.40, if you're taking the game straight. So if I can find somebody that I'm confident with to pair up, that's the only way I play the game.
Yeah, and we joke about it doesn't change the math. I like that line as well, as Marco. But what I will say about the money line parlays, there is some rationale behind it from a money management standpoint, because your risk is the key to all of this. You have to live to fight another day. I've always said you could go 99-1, but if you bet 100% of your bankroll on every play, you still go broke. And that's an absurd example. But I do like the big money line parlay favorites just because it does keep guys in check as far as risking too much when they do lose one of those games. Tony, can I interest you in a run line on this one? Marco talked about the advantage of road teams on the run line. That was 195, Oakland down to 130. How about this, guys? Minus 240, it's down to minus 105 run line because they're the home team and it's a 7-inning game. You're talking about a 235-cent difference in the run line and the money line. I don't think I've ever seen that in my life as a pro.
How about that? Is wild.
I could see him going 7, but you could see him going 7 innings, though, I guess is what I was going to ask you there on Lamet,
Yeah, I don't play home teams on the run line. But in this situation, I might do it and not tell anybody.
I'll just throw it. It's not a rule, but it's intended.
It's my rules. Yeah.
No, what I was going to say is road team. Yeah. But if it's a home team, I make it a -1.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah. Yes. Okay.
That to me makes more sense.
Yeah, I like that. That's interesting. Yeah, and I guess nowadays most people can find those. Back in the day, it was harder.
You can make your own if you can't find one anyway.
Yeah.
You just make. It's simple enough.
Half and
the
half.
Easiest way is half and half. That's all. Yeah.
It's a very good point, Dave. Yeah. For viewers out there that are new, maybe what he's talking about doing is you play half your unit on the money line at Pick'em, which is technically Pick'em, and then the other half on the run line -1.5, and you're getting a push if it lands on 1 because you're winning or losing.
You just have there's plenty of sites out there that'll give you a -1 too.
Correct. Yeah.
But there's more books doing it now, at least among those who are not located in the United States, shall we say.
It's a great point, though, Dave. I like the fact that you bring up that if someone doesn't do it, if you still have an old school local or something.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that. And it's something else, guys, that I like to recommend in the NFL. As you all know.
That's what I do on Wager Talk. I'll give you an example. It's probably not going to get played anyway, so I'll just I did that on the Nationals game today. So at Wager Talk, there's no -1 available at Wager Talk, at least on the general menu. If you can find one, that's fine. But what I do is I make a 2% play on the money line and then a 2% play on the run. It's out to
because you want a
best
4%
bet level
on -1, right?
Right.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I was going to say in the NFL, something I always recommend is if you like an underdog on the point spread, you know, a 7 or less dog especially, you do want to put some of that on the money line in the NFL as well, because historically I think about 80-some% of, you know, the outright winners of 7 or less cover and win straight up. We've talked about in the NBA tip-off show, at one point the playoffs going into Sunday, I believe, straight up winner was 25-3 against the spread. So point spread and money line splits also make sense in basketball and football as well when you like underdogs. I don't recommend it as much with favorites because, as Marco said earlier, you're laying a lot more juice just from a money management perspective. Guys, we'll do some more quick hits here. You know, hopefully we get some of these games in. We'll see what happens. It is what it is. The next game on the schedule, and we got a viewer who wants to talk about this one, Dave, and you're our Red Sox guy. I'll throw it to you as the Buffalo Blue Jays against your Boston Red Sox. Who would have thought?
It looks like that game is not going to happen. I keep up with this. Let me see. I'm on the Philadelphia Inquirer trying to get some confirmation on the Phillies.
And I'm going to say, Sabino, as we said before, no matter who you like in this game, a big bet is never a good thing. You got to play within your means here. Sorry, Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, as far as this game goes, excuse me, if they do play, rather clearly the Red Sox don't want to play. So
yeah,
I would only look at the Blue Jays. And I don't know what that's pretty much it. The hell with any other analysis. The Red Sox clearly don't want to play this game. So if they want to, if they end up playing, and I don't think they're going to, because it looks like that game of the Phillies Nationals appear to be done. But if they somehow play, I'd only look at the Blue Jays.
You know, it's interesting, Marco, here is the money line on this is -195, just like that Oakland game we talked about. But Toronto's technically the home team here. Yet the run line is still, I'm seeing maybe minus 120-ish, 130 range. So, yeah, I would say 120, yeah, maybe 115. So it's a little bit lower. It's about 10, 15 cents lower because of the home team versus Oakland, but it's a hitter's park in Buffalo, yet the total is only 10. So you could make an argument there's some value here with the run line, I guess, at -115, especially as Dave said, if, you know, Boston does not show up with any motivation.
Absolutely. And you've got a kid on the mound, Mazza, that he's only got one start. He went 3 innings. That's not what the Red Sox need. The bullpen has been overworked. You know, they made a trade last week, which depleted it a little bit more. And that's one of the reasons yesterday I was sitting waiting for one book to finally put up a number in the game yesterday so I could actually load the play, because I was all about Toronto. I knew it was going to be a bullpen, and I don't know why Vegas waits so long till they announce who the actual starter is going to be. He's going to be in there for an inning or two, and then there's going to be another guy. I mean, it's going to be a parade of pitchers, and I didn't care about that. I wanted Toronto. The play was against Boston, and that's the same way it is here. There's no way I want any part of Boston in this one, and because that bullpen is so bad, at least with Toronto, they score runs, and if I only get 8 at-bats, and 3 of those at-bats are against the bullpen, I'm generally going to add to my lead with Toronto going against the Boston team. So in this instance, I don't like laying the 1.5 at home that often, but I would do it here in this one because of the state of mind of Boston, the state of that bullpen, and looking at a starting pitcher that I don't expect to go beyond the 3rd or 4th inning.
Yeah,
Okay,
Tony, I think there's no doubt. Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
We might as well call it a day. A's and Rangers is now postponed.
Yeah, and then the Sabino's saying the Phillies are postponed.
They're not gonna play. So that's
WNBA followed the NBA, and they announced they're canceling all of today's games as well.
Yeah,
and then like I said, with this game, first pitch in 30 minutes here for that San Diego doubleheader, I had a feeling we would find out before 3 p.m. Eastern what was going on, because they weren't going to send one team out to play 2 innings and then pull them. So I have a feeling that's what's going on.
I might get some sleep tonight, maybe.
Tony, I'll tell you what. I do want to finish on this Boston game though, because what jumps out to me about the Red Sox is they put up 9 runs on 13 hits in hitter-friendly Buffalo on Tuesday night. And then last night they go out to the most hitter-friendly stadium outside of Coors, and they have 1 run on 3 hits. I mean, if there's ever a sign a team either isn't trying, as Dave said, doesn't want to be there, which was great information, I think. Yeah, I think it's Toronto or nothing if this game happens, which it probably doesn't. But
here's the update this is from Jeff Passan, who is, I would say, is about as reliable a source as you're going to find. The Rangers and A's game is going to be postponed. Sources tell ESPN. Additionally, report is the Phillies and Nationals will not play tonight, and the Red Sox are having a meeting to determine whether they're playing Toronto. So
I guess the teams are deciding. I guess what's happening is basically one team out of the two decides they don't want to play, and then I don't. The league needs to get control of this situation, as I think we would all agree. But
I would say I would be shocked if in the next half an hour we just don't get an announcement from MLB that they're just postponing, because you can't play a couple of games,
right?
And then you can't do it.
Because what happens there, too, is it looks like the league isn't taking a stance. We understand maybe it's the teams postponing, but 99% of the non-sports public is going to not know that. It's going to look insensitive. Hey, look, whatever your opinion is on this one way or the other, as Dave said, it doesn't matter. It is what it is. If I'm the leagues, though, cancel a day or two, make it look like you care, and then start playing Saturday. And that's what we're hearing the NBA might do, by the way.
Exactly. The NBA probably back tomorrow and Saturday at the latest. You do the 1 day thing and probably resume on the weekend.
In truth, the NBA had to, because they have teams waiting. Look, today we had scheduled game 1 of round 2, and we have yesterday's games 5 that haven't even been played. So in truth, they had to do today what they did today, so they can move those game 5s tomorrow if they're going to start tomorrow and get back at least on a semi-pseudo schedule.
Yeah, and what's crazy too is that 2 of those teams would have been eliminated yesterday, but the Blazers and the and the Magic were 13, 14 points. So they just played one more night. They could have gotten 2 more teams out of there. Although, as I've said from the start, Portland's probably the one team that doesn't want to leave the bubble and return home because their city's like literally being burnt down. But that's a side note. We'll see what happens. I mean, Tony, I don't think we're doing our NBA tip-off show. I've been going back and forth here with the producers as we've been live. I knew you and I would be good to go. But
the NBA is definitely not playing today.
Right, but I thought maybe we'd turn on. And by the way, we had over 400 live watching us here a moment ago. So we have less games being played than ever, and we had maybe our record weekday audience live. So
I'll get dartboard. We can play some darts, and they can watch us play darts.
Yeah, and the bitch of it is I don't have a play in KBO on Friday morning. I already handicapped it, and I just didn't come.
Hey, Dave, since we have some time here, and since that is a bettable baseball league, you mentioned earlier in the week that you were worried that they might not continue with the virus outbreak. What's the update?
It looks like they're going to, but the fans are not coming. They had started to allow fans back in, and that's back on hold. But what I gather is that they are ramping up their level as far as social distancing and stuff like that is concerned. But they're apparently the view is that baseball is so big down there. They want to keep the games being played just for public morale.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're going to play. They're going to continue to play games, but unfortunately, the fans who were starting to be to the games are now back on the sidelines again because they've had spikes in Seoul primarily, and this disease is really something else. I mean, it gets flattened and then it comes back again. So I mean,
yeah, and I think they're never getting rid of it. I think we have to figure out if we can play through it or not. And Korea's been an example.
We'll get a vaccine eventually, and that'll do it. But until that time, it's just and you can have your own opinion on how serious the disease is or whatever. But again, you don't really have control over it. So just accept the fact that it is going to impact lives, our lives, everybody's life for the foreseeable future, whether you like it or not.
And Marco, you're a Pittsburgh guy, so this is a good game. Let's finish with this game because this one goes in about 20 minutes, and there are some viewers saying that they're going to postpone all the games after 6 Eastern on, and we've talked about the 4 o'clock Eastern Giants Dodgers. We talked about the 3 o'clock Eastern Padres, but this is the other game that they might get in apparently, and it is your Pirates, Marco. So I wanted to get your thoughts on this one, Pittsburgh St. Louis, which goes in about 20 minutes if they allow it to be played.
Well, Chad Kuhl's pitched well for Pittsburgh so far this season. The problem has been that he's not going to get you past the 5th inning. You're going to get 4 or 5 out of him. So if you're going to make a wager involving Pittsburgh, they are a first 5-inning team. I don't trust the bullpen with them. And, but do you want to jump on a Pirates team that, they had the sweep of Milwaukee. Then after that, they go and get no hit in Chicago. Mm-hmm. I don't want any parts of them. The last 2 games, they got, outscored 14-3. For me, again, you're looking at a doubleheader. I'm not a fan of it, but if I played the first game, again, with taking the first 5 innings, you're going to get cool for most of the game, being that it's a 7-inning game, being a doubleheader. So Pittsburgh or pass, but I just don't have confidence in them.
Yeah, and Tony, you would think if they ever want to get a game in, it's this one, because the Cardinals missed 3 weeks of baseball. This is a doubleheader. Boy, they cannot miss another game. So maybe we get this daytime game in. Any thoughts on game 1?
I have none. I mean, Marco outlined it pretty accurately. This is a game where we all know that Pittsburgh is at least they were. I haven't checked today, but they'd given up the most runs and scored the most runs. They're scored the least amount of runs, and that's a tough combination to back.
Yeah, if you could tell me ahead of the season that we're going to have any team in any sport, Dave, that's going to have that ratio, my Cadillac gets bigger every year if that's the case.
The only combination that'll burn a bankroll quicker than that, Tony, is fast women and slow horses. That'll burn a bankroll just as fast.
From a horseman.
Dave, it is interesting how Pittsburgh cooled off. We mentioned the 3 straight wins. They have a day off all of a sudden, and then they get no hit, and then they don't do too much in the second game last night either.
Yeah, I mean that was over in a hurry. As soon as it went 4-0, it's like, okay, nice try. I'm just glad, because I talked on yesterday's show about I was mulling over betting the Royals, who I thought were pretty live, against the Cardinals last night, and I decided not to. And I'm swearing my head off with the score. What was it, 6-3 in the bottom of the 9th? You dumb son of a bitch! Why didn't you play the game? Yeah. And then 4 walks and a bouncer later, they lose the game. So that would have been the topper to a bad day. So at least I saved the loser there.
Yeah, the Cardinals have been playing some close games. They've gone 5-2 their last 7, only lost by 1 and 2 runs. They win by 1. A comeback, they had a 1-run win about a week ago to start the streak. We'll see how this potential layoff for a day or two changes momentum here. The playoff picture, guys, is pretty interesting right now. 4 of the 8 teams are from the NL West. The Nationals are on the outside looking in. The Phillies are on the outside looking in. Yeah, we'll see what happens. And hopefully we'll be back tomorrow for MLB First Pitch. I don't think it's worth doing a DFS fantasy segment. I would not mess with
I don't think so.
And as I said last night, if anybody found the 3-way lines on the NBA games and took the draw bets at 100-1 on each game, let me know. That was a big payoff. And if you can find a 3-way line on baseball today, you might want to take the draws as well. Should be some good odds there. But anyway, guys, good show. Hey, let's hope we get some of these daytime games in.
Look, maybe we're not the definitive word on this. I'm just forwarding along notes as I see them on Twitter. Maybe they play, but I will tell you this. I'm not going to bet tonight. I don't know what the mindset's going to be if they play any games. And to me, my best advice today, take a day off. You don't have to bet every day. And if the NHL isn't playing and the Nationals game is postponed, then I'm out of action anyway. And if you want to make money at this stuff long term, you don't go looking for action when there's nothing good out there. You just take a day off and watch TV.
Exactly. And hey, look, we've been through this. We had 4 months off, right? And then we had NASCAR and MMA for a couple months. So
believe me,
one day off.
You bet. One day is not going to. Okay, fine. Get back in action tomorrow or the next day.
Okay, head down the Circle K and a little bit of Keno, Marco.
Dave, where's Spawner Park when we need it, huh?
Oh, I know it. Is anything live? Marco's the horse guy here. Pony Pundits, of course.
I'll have to pull out the program. I'll probably piggyback Sig's Saratoga today. That'll
cool.
give me something to do.
Looks like I'm going to turn on TVG for the first time in a couple of months.
There we go. I was going to say, if the NHL cancels, I was going to start getting worried, and that's what's happened today. But if horse racing cancels, guys, then I think we really got some problems, because I'm not sure the horses care too much about what's going on right now.
But here's the, and I'm not to lengthen this any more than we already has, but there is still, unfortunately, a possibility that the Kentucky Derby might not take place.
Yeah,
it's in a hot spot. I'm not talking about the virus either. It's in a hot spot for other stuff, as you know. And I hope it takes place, but I'm not, Marco. I'm not chiseling that in stone yet. They've got
Marco?
problems. They got problems in Kentucky.
Do you have a horse running in the Derby this year?
No, not this year.
Not this year. Next year. Okay.
Marco, when's your horse show, by the way? Throw that out.
Horse show is tomorrow. It goes at 1:00 Eastern time. Big show every week, but we're going to hopefully get a preview of the Kentucky Derby tomorrow. We'll talk about the top 20 horses as far as points go, and if they're pretenders or contenders. Obviously, there is one standout. There's a couple horses that have been closing the gap a little bit, but Tis the Law has been the sheriff in town all summer long, and he's getting better with each start.
Yeah, I've seen him run, obviously, and that is an impressive horse. Very impressive.
And normally a horse that would have been on the campaign trail, because remember, this is the one horse for people not familiar with, when the Kentucky Derby's actually run. It's normally run the first Saturday in May, and given everything that has happened this year, it was pushed back to September. Tis the Law was a horse that was on the campaign trail for the normal date of the Kentucky Derby. He raced his early, spring races in February and March, getting ready. So he's had a long campaign. And generally a horse that had been racing since January, February, and we would now be in late August, you would start to see signs of a horse showing a little bit of wear and tear on the season. They would drop a few pounds, maybe not be as crisp in the morning. This horse is a complete freak. He's been just the opposite. He's putting weight on. He's training even more impressively. The closer we get to the Kentucky Derby, it's like he hasn't had any prep races, which is scary for the competition, because I like to use a phrase right now, this horse is scary good, and everybody else might be racing for second money. He will be the lowest odd favorite that we've had in several years at the Kentucky Derby.
Well, we go off that.
He's going to go off it probably 4 to 5 in this race, given the way he's racing. But we'll see what happens. It's always exciting. He already has the first leg of the Triple Crown, which actually was the last leg normally, because they ran the Belmont already, and he was impressive in that win.
Yeah, I was going to say they already ran the Belmont. And what are they doing with the Preakness, Marco?
Preakness is coming up in a month. They have it, or a couple weeks. I'm sorry. It's down the road, so we could have the Triple Crown, but it'd be out of order. And of course, the asterisk on the Belmont would be that not only was it not the last race, but it wouldn't be the traditional mile and a half, which does so many horses in going for the Triple Crown. So we're looking at Lou Gehrig and an asterisk beside his name if he gets the Triple Crown this year.
Yeah.
And once again, 1 p.m. Eastern live, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific tomorrow on Friday, right here on Wager Talk TV. We have, check in at 1. I know we have baseball 2, basketball 3 every day, but I do the NASCAR show at 1 p.m. on Wednesdays. Marco does horses on Fridays. Some good value in these off sports, as I like to call them, as you guys all know.
I know it's a baseball show, but do you guys want to go ahead and say you can go start this countdown? We do have 2 weeks to NFL Thursday night opener, right?
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah, and I saw an ad last night. They said September 17th or something for Thursday
night
football. I thought it was 10.
Maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was 10.
I think it's a week late. I just saw the ad last night, actually, late last night when I was watching something. So I need to check that. But yeah, I mean, hey guys, when we talk next week, it's September. Doesn't feel that way to me. September 1st is next Tuesday, which is kind of crazy.
By the way, if you want to watch something, the BMW Championship is underway.
Oh yeah,
Colin Morikawa is 200 through 2 holes.
Nice.
Go.
Anybody you liked in that, Dave?
Colin Morikawa.
That's all right. There we go.
How was it just now? Today tipping off. Have they already got half the field already gone?
What?
Most of the golf starts Thursday, I believe. So it'd be round
golf
one,
always starts on Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought maybe somebody had gone off already.
Yeah, they have. Well, they're all.
That's why I was asking.
In progress.
He's
one.
He's not the only one playing.
That's what I meant. I'd look at the end game live on that. If you know what I mean. So if I can get it, I'm not sure I do. I do no golf in game live, but it looks like my day's cleared.
You might be intrigued to do so now. I saw Tony yawning a few minutes ago. We got to get him a nap, guys.
I was, yes.
Tony, you got time to get a haircut now.
I know. That's yeah. I'll stop. Rebel, play a couple hands of Keno, and get my fix in, and then I'll be back. We'll do it again.
Is there nowhere in Vegas that doesn't allow you to play Keno while you get a haircut? I mean, this is a business opportunity, guys. I like the sound of this.
You can play the machines at the grocery store. That was the first thing.
I remember that.
Whenever I moved to Vegas, when I walked into an
that
Albertsons or whatever here, and I heard ding, ding, and I'm like, what the hell? And it's like, I'm thinking, how many people come to the grocery store and blow their grocery money before they go shopping?
Or
Not
they
all
shop
of it.
for free,
Not
Marco.
all of
Or
it.
they shop for free. It can work both ways, right?
Probably not. I'm just suggesting that the hold on video poker machines in supermarkets is probably larger than it is in casinos.
Yeah,
That is definitely true.
Yeah.
And the ones at the terminals in McCarran Airport, right as you get on the plane, probably are not great either.
I'll tell you, Albertsons. I will tell you this.
Albertson
guys.
pays off.
Well, Albertsons done.
Are they loose slots at Albertson?
It's Golden Entertainment, so all those algorithms are the same as PT. So what their hold is, I don't know, but they're the same as the PTs. So a lot of PTs in town.
Well, it's real simple for video poker. No, I don't play video poker, but I can tell you this: you have to find 9-5 machines on full houses and flushes.
Huh.
And it's sad to 9-5. It used to be 9-6, Dave, and you can't find
that's
9.
gone. You can't.
Yeah,
no more
9-6.
9-6.
Right.
But 9-5 is still. You're getting a fair return. You have a chance to win on those. These people who sit there on 8-4 returns, it's like you have no chance. You may as well just take the money and throw it at the bartender because they're going to end up with it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the only chance you have is to win on your second or third spin and then leave, which nobody ever does, obviously.
Every longer you're there, the less you take home, obviously. That's right.
Yeah, my quick takeaway, being from Virginia, we have separate liquor stores, ABC stores. And when I was first in Vegas 20-some years ago, as Marco said, walking into the supermarkets, you hear the dinging, but then to see all the liquor bottles on the wall right against the window there also, for me, was like heaven on earth. I was like, why don't we have one-stop gambling shop like this? You can play, you can shop, you get your liquor. It's like, what else do you need? So Nevada does a lot of things right, I will say that.
Pennsylvania, we had liquor stores as well, but we had separate stores for beer. You had to go to,
distributor,
the beer
right?
distributor. Yep.
Distributors, yes. Yeah, that's that's even more difficult.
Did you have drive-through distributors in Virginia? We had drive-through locations. You could
No, but if you go to the Outer Banks in North Carolina, where Nag's Head is located, the famous beach area, they have some brew-throughs, which are drive-through little beer places, and they charge like triple for beer, triple for ice. And it's just a total novelty. And I guess it saves you maybe 5 minutes, but you pay like 3 times more. But that's the closest.
You drive up, you pop the trunk, and say, "Give me 2 cases of this and a case of that," and they throw it in, and you drive out the other end. Got a lot of friends in Pittsburgh. I've been up for several Pirate games, and that's always a weird thing about Pennsylvania, guys.
Just an update. Looks like the Padres are playing.
Yeah, we saw someone, Dave, say 6 p.m. and later is canceled. So that might be the case. We might get these 3 daytime games.
Well, the Padres, according to what I'm reading, the team voted to play.
Interesting. And they're having a nice little season, better than expected, And as I said, that Cardinal Pirate game also goes here in about 10 minutes, game 1. You would think the Cardinals want to get that game in as well, as they're sitting in the playoff picture with a lot of makeup games still. I'm looking at the MLB website now live, but they're not showing hardly any of these games canceled, so that's not much use. I've said many times that these sports sites are worse than any other sites as far as updating stuff.
As of now, there's only 2 games postponed: Phillies, Nationals, and Rangers, A's.
That's what I'm seeing as well on MLB.com.
And we know nothing as far as anything beyond that goes.
Well, luckily, we did quick hits on all these games for the most part. And viewers, of course, we're archived all the time on YouTube after the show. We're live at 2 p.m. Eastern. We'll be back tomorrow on Friday, as of now, unless everything is canceled. Tony, the word is we're not doing the NBA show here afterwards, but we might be back tomorrow on Friday as well for that if there's weekend games, as it looks there will be. So viewers, check the schedule. MLB first pitch, most likely 2 p.m. Eastern. As always on Friday, NBA tip-off, not today on Thursday, but back tomorrow on Friday, likely at 3 p.m. Eastern. And then, of course, the bonus episodes this weekend, Dave, Tony, and I appear on those. First pitch, noon Eastern on Saturday and Sundays. So 2 p.m. Eastern weekday, noon Eastern weekends. Hey, guys, great information. It was a fun show, even with less games to handicap. And we'll be back tomorrow on Friday, most likely at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, right here on Wager Talk TV. Have the best day and good luck.